Maximizing income while controlling lifestyle inflation sounds simple on the surface, but in reality, it's one of the most powerful and misunderstood strategies when it comes to building wealth quickly. Most people focus on one side of the equation. They either try to earn more money without discipline, or they try to save aggressively without expanding their earning potential. The real acceleration happens when both are working together at the same time, creating a widening gap between what comes in and what goes out. The first layer of this is understanding that your income is your greatest wealth-building tool in the early stages. Investments are important, but without capital, there's nothing to invest. That means your primary focus should be on increasing how much you bring in every single month. This isn't about working endlessly without direction. It's about being strategic with how you use your time and energy. High-income skills become critical here. Skills like sales, marketing, coding, content creation, negotiation, and problem solving are all directly tied to higher earning potential. The more value you can provide, the more you can charge, and the faster your income begins to grow. Instead of relying on a single paycheck, you start thinking in terms of multiple income streams. One source of income is stable, but it's also limited and risky if it disappears. When you diversify how you earn, you create leverage. That could mean freelancing after hours, building an online presence, starting a small business, or offering services based on skills you already have. Even small additional income streams can compound into something significant over time, especially when reinvested instead of spent. Negotiation also plays a major role. Most people accept what they're given without question, whether it's a salary, a freelance rate, or a business deal. But learning how to negotiate effectively can instantly increase your income without requiring extra hours of work. Asking for a raise, increasing your rates, or structuring deals more favorably can add thousands to your yearly income with a single conversation. It's uncomfortable at first, but it becomes easier with practice and the financial impact is immediate. As your income increases, the real challenge begins. This is where lifestyle inflation quietly creeps in. You start earning more and naturally you feel like you deserve to spend more. A better phone, a nicer car, more expensive clothes, frequent dining out, upgraded living spaces, each decision feels justified on its own. But collectively, they erase the financial progress you're making. Instead of building wealth, you end up maintaining a more expensive version of the same financial position. Controlling lifestyle inflation doesn't mean you can't enjoy your money. It means you're intentional about how and when you upgrade your life. Instead of increasing your expenses in direct proportion to your income, you keep your core lifestyle relatively stable while allowing your income to grow around it. This creates a surplus that can be invested and multiplied. The key is to separate needs from wants and to recognize that many expenses are driven by impulse rather than necessity. One effective approach is to set predefined rules for spending increases. For example, every time your income goes up, only a small percentage is allocated toward lifestyle improvements, while the majority is directed towards savings and investments. This allows you to enjoy the benefits of earning more without sacrificing long-term growth. Over time, this discipline creates a massive difference in net worth compared to someone who spends everything they earn. Another important factor is awareness. Lifestyle inflation often happens unconsciously. Subscriptions pile up, habits change, and spending gradually increases without you noticing. Regularly reviewing your expenses helps you stay in control. When you see exactly where your money is going, it becomes easier to identify areas where you're overspending and make adjustments before it becomes a problem. Social pressure also plays a significant role in lifestyle inflation. People tend to compare themselves to others and adjust their spending to match what they see. If your peers are constantly upgrading their lifestyle, it creates a subtle pressure to do the same. But following that path usually leads to financial stagnation. Instead, focusing on your own goals and values allows you to make decisions that align with long-term growth rather than short-term validation. Delaying gratification becomes a powerful advantage in this process. Choosing not to upgrade immediately, even when you can afford it, gives your money time to grow. That delay might not feel significant in the moment, but over time it compounds into substantial financial gains. Every dollar not spent is a dollar that can be invested, and every invested dollar has the potential to multiply. There's also a psychological shift that happens when you prioritize wealth building over lifestyle upgrades. You start to view money differently. Instead of seeing it as something to spend, you begin to see it as a tool for creating freedom and opportunities. That shift changes your behavior in subtle but impactful ways, reinforcing habits that lead to long-term success. Tracking your progress further strengthens this mindset. When you see your income increasing while your expenses remain controlled, the gap becomes visible. That gap represents your ability to invest, to build assets, and to grow your net worth. Watching that number expand can be incredibly motivating and helps you stay committed to the process. At the same time, it's important to align your spending with what genuinely adds value to your life. Not all expenses are bad, and not all frugality is beneficial. The goal isn't to deprive yourself, but to eliminate waste and prioritize what truly matters. When your spending is intentional, you get more satisfaction from it while still maintaining financial discipline. Consistency is what ties everything together. Increasing your income once doesn't change your life unless you maintain that growth and pair it with controlled spending. Avoiding lifestyle inflation once doesn't matter unless it becomes a habit. Over time, these repeated actions create a system that naturally drives your net worth upward without requiring constant effort or decision-making. As your income continues to grow and your expenses remain relatively stable, the gap widens further. That gap becomes the engine of your financial progress, allowing you to invest more, take advantage of opportunities, and build assets that generate additional income. The larger the gap, the faster your net worth accelerates, and the more control you gain over your financial future. Investing consistently and letting compounding work is one of those ideas that sounds almost too simple to be powerful, which is exactly why most people underestimate it. They're constantly searching for the perfect time to invest, the perfect stock, the perfect opportunity that will give them instant results. But in doing so, they ignore the one strategy that has quietly built more wealth than anything else over time. Consistency beats intensity, and when combined with compounding, it becomes one of the most reliable ways to grow your net worth. The foundation of this approach is understanding that investing is not about occasional big decisions. It's about repeated small actions. Instead of trying to predict what the market will do next, you focus on showing up regularly. Every week, every month, you invest a set amount regardless of what's happening in the short term. This removes emotion from the process and replaces it with discipline. Markets go up and down, news cycles create fear and excitement, but your strategy remains unchanged. One of the biggest advantages of consistent investing is that it allows you to benefit from something called dollar cost averaging. When you invest the same amount of money at regular intervals, you naturally buy more when prices are low and less when prices are high. Over time, this smooths out your average purchase price and reduces the risk of investing a large amount at the wrong time. It turns market volatility from something that scares you into something that actually works in your favor. Compounding is where the real magic happens, but it requires patience to fully appreciate. At first, it doesn't feel like much is happening. Your investments grow slowly and the returns seem insignificant compared to your contributions. This is the phase where most people lose interest or give up entirely because they expect faster results. But what they don't realize is that compounding is not linear, it's exponential. The growth starts small, but as time goes on, it accelerates in a way that becomes increasingly difficult to ignore. The key to unlocking compounding is time in the market, not timing the market. Trying to jump in and out based on predictions is not only stressful, but statistically ineffective for most people. Missing just a few of the best performing days in the market can significantly reduce your overall returns. By staying consistently invested, you ensure that you capture those moments without having to predict when they will happen. Automation plays a huge role in making this strategy work. When you automate your investments, you remove the need to make a decision every time you want to invest. The money is allocated automatically, whether you feel confident or uncertain, whether the market is rising or falling. This eliminates hesitation and prevents emotional reactions from interfering with your plan. It turns investing into a habit rather than a choice. Another important aspect is reinvesting your returns. Dividends, interest, and capital gains should not be withdrawn prematurely if your goal is growth. Instead, they should be fed back into your investments, allowing them to generate even more returns over time. This creates a snowball effect where your money is continuously working and expanding without requiring additional effort from you. Diversification also supports consistent investing by reducing risk. Instead of putting all your money into a single asset or sector, you spread it across different investments. This way, even if one area underperforms, others can balance it out. Diversification doesn't eliminate risk entirely, but it makes your overall portfolio more stable and predictable, which makes it easier to stay consistent during uncertain times. Emotional control is one of the biggest challenges investors face. When markets drop, fear takes over, and the instinct is to stop investing or even sell at a loss. When markets rise, excitement kicks in, and people are tempted to invest more than they planned or chase trends. Both reactions can be harmful. Consistent investing requires you to stay grounded and follow your plan regardless of external conditions. It's not about ignoring what's happening, but about not letting it dictate your actions. There's also a psychological benefit to consistency. When you invest regularly, you build confidence in your strategy. You don't feel the pressure to make perfect decisions because you know that your success doesn't depend on any single moment. It's the accumulation of many small actions over time that drives your results. This mindset reduces stress and makes the entire process more sustainable. Tracking your progress helps reinforce this behavior. Even though the growth may seem slow at first, seeing your portfolio gradually increase over time provides a sense of momentum. It reminds you that your efforts are working, even if the results are not immediate. Over time, those small increases become larger and more noticeable, which further strengthens your commitment. Another factor that accelerates compounding is increasing your contributions over time. As your income grows, you can allocate more money toward your investments. This not only increases the amount being invested, but also amplifies the effects of compounding. The combination of higher contributions and accumulated returns creates a powerful upward trajectory. Avoiding unnecessary interruptions is just as important as staying consistent. Withdrawing money early, reacting to short-term market movements, or constantly changing your strategy can disrupt the compounding process. Every time you interrupt it, you reset part of the progress you've made. Staying committed to your plan allows compounding to work uninterrupted, which is where its true power lies. It's also important to have realistic expectations. Consistent investing is not a get-rich-quick strategy. It's a get-rich-reliably strategy. The growth may feel slow in the beginning, but that's part of the process. The real transformation happens over longer periods, where the accumulated effects of consistency and compounding become undeniable. Over time, your investments start generating returns that are larger than your contributions. This is the point where compounding truly takes over. Your money begins to work harder than you do, producing growth that no longer relies solely on how much you invest, but on how long you've been invested and how consistently you've followed your strategy. Eliminating bad debt and focusing on owning assets is one of the fastest ways to completely change your financial trajectory. But it requires a level of discipline and awareness that most people never develop. The reason this strategy is so powerful is because it works on both sides of your net worth at the same time. It reduces the liabilities that are dragging you down while increasing the assets that are pushing you forward. When both of those forces are moving in the right direction, the growth becomes much faster and far more sustainable. Bad debt is anything that costs you money without providing long-term value or income in return, and the most dangerous type is high-interest debt. Credit cards, payday loans, and unnecessary financing arrangements often come with interest rates that are so high they quietly erode your financial progress. You might think you're managing it because you're making the minimum payments, but in reality, a significant portion of your money is going toward interest instead of building wealth. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it keeps leaking out. The first step is recognizing how much bad debt is actually costing you. Most people don't calculate the total interest they'll pay over time, and if they did, it would completely change how they view borrowing. A small balance can turn into a much larger obligation simply because of how interest compounds against you. This is why eliminating high-interest debt should be treated as a priority even before aggressive investing. The guaranteed return you get from paying off a 20% interest rate is often higher than what you could reasonably expect to earn in the market. Once you commit to eliminating bad debt, the next step is to attack it with focus and consistency. This means allocating as much extra money as possible toward paying it down while avoiding taking on new unnecessary debt. It may require temporary sacrifices, cutting back on spending, or redirecting money that would otherwise go toward lifestyle upgrades. The process might not feel exciting, but the impact is immediate. Every payment reduces the amount of interest you'll pay in the future, and as the balance decreases, the progress begins to accelerate. At the same time, it's important to understand the behaviors that led to the debt in the first place. Without addressing those habits, there's a high risk of repeating the cycle. This is where awareness becomes critical. Tracking your spending, identifying patterns, and setting clear boundaries helps prevent you from falling back into the same situation. It's not just about getting out of debt, it's about staying out of it permanently. Not all debt is created equal, and this is where nuance matters. There is a difference between bad debt and strategic debt. Strategic debt is used to acquire assets or opportunities that have the potential to generate income or appreciate in value. For example, borrowing to invest in a business, education that significantly increases your earning potential, or an asset that produces cash flow can be justified if managed properly. The key difference is that strategic debt is used as a tool for growth, while bad debt is typically used for consumption. As you eliminate bad debt, you begin to free up cash flow. This is where the second part of the strategy comes into play, focusing on owning assets. Assets are things that put money in your pocket or increase in value over time. They work for you, generating returns without requiring constant effort. The more assets you own, the more your income becomes disconnected from your time, which is one of the most important shifts in building long-term wealth. Ownership changes the entire dynamic of how you earn money. Instead of relying solely on a paycheck, you start to benefit from the performance of your investments. This could include shares in companies, real estate, digital products, or any venture that produces income. Each asset you acquire becomes another stream contributing to your financial growth, and over time, these streams can add up to something substantial. The transition from eliminating debt to building assets requires intentional allocation of resources. The money that was previously going toward interest payments can now be redirected toward investments. This shift is powerful because it not only stops the financial drain, but also starts creating upward momentum. Instead of losing money to interest, you begin to gain money through returns. Patience plays a significant role in this process. Building assets takes time, and the results are not always immediate. Just like with investing, the early stages may feel slow, but consistency makes a difference. Each asset you acquire adds to your overall net worth, and as the number of assets grows, so does the income they generate. Over time, this creates a compounding effect similar to investing, where your assets begin to produce additional assets. Risk management is also important when focusing on ownership. Not every opportunity is worth pursuing, and not every investment will perform as expected. Diversifying your assets helps reduce the impact of any single underperforming investment. It allows you to spread your risk while still participating in potential growth across different areas. Another key factor is reinvesting the income generated by your assets. Instead of spending the returns, you use them to acquire more assets. This accelerates the growth process and strengthens the compounding effect. The more you reinvest, the faster your portfolio expands and the more income it can generate in the future. Mindset plays a crucial role in maintaining this strategy. Shifting from a consumption-based mindset to an ownership-based mindset changes how you make decisions. Instead of asking whether you can afford something, you start asking whether it will contribute to your financial growth. This simple shift can prevent unnecessary spending and encourage more productive use of your money. Avoiding lifestyle inflation remains important even at this stage. As your income and asset base grow, there will be a temptation to increase your spending. While some level of improvement is natural, maintaining discipline ensures that you continue building rather than plateauing. The goal is to reach a point where your assets generate enough income to cover your expenses, giving you financial independence and flexibility. Tracking your progress reinforces this behavior. Seeing your debt decrease and your assets increase provides a clear picture of your financial improvement. It serves as motivation to continue and helps you stay focused on your long-term goals. The more visible your progress becomes, the easier it is to remain committed to the process. Over time, the combined effect of eliminating bad debt and building assets creates a powerful shift in your financial position. What once felt like a constant struggle begins to turn into steady progress. Your money starts working for you instead of against you, and each decision you make contributes to further growth rather than holding you back.